Hello, and welcome to a two-man episode of the My Electronic Box. I'm here with Joe. This is going up, I guess, 22nd of April.
Yeah, it will be. Well,
or
it should be
sometime during that week.
Yeah, now we have our awesome YouTube outlet.
Oh yes,
Post on.
we're on YouTube now, so I guess you can do whatever you do with YouTube videos.
You can find us there.
You can find us there. I assume if you just type in the My Electronic Box, there's not going to be many things called that. And the channel is called the My Electronic Box, I assume.
It should be, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
All one word. So.
Shouldn't be too hard to find. Yeah, I guess we're just gonna jump right in. There's not much news this week, so Joe is going to tell us a bit about video games that he's played this week.
I will do just that. I'm very proud of myself. I managed to play a lot of games this week.
Well done.
Considering I just went to sleep, and who needs that? I'll talk about the main two things I played because it kind of ties into where I went last weekend. I went down to London to the Heart of Gaming, which is just sort of like a local offline scene for mainly fighting games, but I imagine they'll probably have other shit. It was their first one, because as I understood it, they originally had this like in the centre of London, in a HMV store, like in the back of there. That's where it was usually held. But HMV went out of business, and this is kind of where it's moved to. So I went down there mainly to play MK9 offline, because I've been playing that game since it came out, really offline, just kind of grinding fucking every character and that. But I mainly went to play that and play some Tekken 2 as well. Tekken Tag 2, rather. Just so people don't think playing Tekken 2. But yeah, so it was a weird experience, to be honest. I wasn't really sure what to expect. I'd never been to something like this before. It wasn't a tournament per se. There wasn't enough people really for any kind of tournament for the games that they had there. And it was just kind of a test the waters event to see the kind of scene that they'd have there. I was only there for the day, but it was a really, really good turnout. I'd say, at a rough guess, they probably had about 100 people turn up in the time I was there, like between turning up, going to get food and then coming back and all that kind of stuff. So it was a really good turnout, and really awesome to play MK9 offline. It was the first time I've ever played somebody that, knows what they're doing offline, and it's just fucking amazing. It was so much fun. There's only like a handful of guys turned up for Mortal Kombat because it's not it's not got a big scene. Even in like the States, it hasn't really got a very big scene. But over here, it's pretty much non-existent, which sucks because it's a fucking awesome game. But people are more into like Marvel and Street Fighter and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I played that for about 4 or 5 hours straight with the two guys in particular that I've met through a Mortal Kombat forum, and yeah, it's just fucking awesome to play offline against another human being, and not fucking grind against the AI, because the AI is terrible in MK9. It's just so easy to beat. But yeah, it was awesome to play, and it was quite a confidence boost, to be honest, in a lot of ways. This whole time I've been just kind of practicing on my own, and I've had no idea if kind of the stuff I've been doing, the stuff I've been coming up with, is actually legit. Because I haven't really had a human being to test it out on. And turns out it is. I did way better than I thought. I went there really expecting to just get completely blown up. Okay. But yeah, I did really, really well against people that I considered extremely good players. So I was really happy about that. And it just makes me even more hyped for Evo, because now I can kind of train more and know what I need to work on. There's some matchup stuff that really caught me off guard. The first time I fought an offline Johnny Cage that's being played by a human being, just, oh my god, made my fucking head hurt.
What was getting to you with Johnny Cage?
Have you ever played a good Cage in that game? I think. Okay, right?
No, probably not.
Okay, well he's easily the best rushdown character in that entire game. Okay. Because every single one of his attacks is either neutral or plus on block. So if he gets you in a block string, you need to basically guess right at the right time to poke out. And I play Scorpion, a character with the fucking shittest pokes in the game. They're all negative on hit. So even if I poke out, I'm still at disadvantage. There's probably going to be a lot of fighting game talk while I'm going over this shit. So if people listening don't want to hear that, you might want to fast forward. Yeah, that was a fucking headache. There was a couple of fights. Sector's the main character I use quite a bit. And it, like fighting humans, like fighting people that actually know what they're doing, really kind of made me realize like some of the holes that character has. But it's all good stuff I can work on. And now that I know, what I need to do, I can actually come up with some strategies for that stuff. So the only thing really that was disappointing was just wasn't more people there. It would have been really cool to have a good turnout for MK9, but it's just not got the scene here, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty much MK. I just played it for fucking hours, and it was really, really awesome. And I played a fair amount of Tekken Tag 2 as well, which again was like really, really good for the ego. Not gonna lie. I've been playing Tekken Tag for probably about 6 months now, like trying to get better, and I'm just starting to kind of feel like I know what I'm doing. That game is just insane. There's so many characters. There's so much shit to learn. Like the fighting system itself is just like it's a brick fucking wall that you need to take apart with like a spoon to, if you haven't played Tekken in probably over 10 years, which is the last time I played a Tekken game. And it was really good to play people offline again and do really, really well against people that had been playing, for years and years, and like being able to adapt on the fly with matchups that I didn't know. Like just there's something about like just playing somebody that's sitting right next to you and doing really, really well against them. And you just don't get that kind of feeling when you play online. Just played a shitload of Tekken Tag 2. Blowing people up with Yoshimitsu is so fucking fun because just some people know the kind of stuff you can do with him because like he's got a lot of shenanigans, I guess. Like they're not really mix-ups, but if people don't know that he can do them, like I was catching a lot of people with like just dog shit that shouldn't really be getting people, but it was just really cool. It was a really, really fun experience, and I'm definitely going to go down again. I think that's probably going to be like the main offline scene, especially for fighting games in London. Maybe not like the UK overall, but yeah, it was just really, really fucking cool. And if you're interested in it all, go in. Like, I would highly recommend you go, because I was like a complete fucking scrub going in. Like, I'd never been to one before, no idea what to expect. I wasn't really confident that I'd do well, and just in that expectation, like, I really surprised myself, which was pretty cool. But that about does it for those. That kind of resulted in me playing a shitload of those games this past week as well. Like, I've been playing a lot more MK, a lot more Tekken, just trying to get better, really, just trying to improve overall. But that's pretty much it for that. While we're on the subject of fighting games, my copy of Injustice came early, which I was really surprised at because I imported the I think it's the Battle Edition that's only coming out in the US, where you get the like Injustice fight stick with it. So I've been playing a little bit of that.
Yeah, my flatmate also bought that, so I played a bit of it last night as well.
Did he get the tournament edition or just?
No, he just.
All right, okay. Because I need to talk about the fight stick a little bit. Because, dude, it's fucking amazing. It's like I'm still getting used to using it because I find it quite awkward, especially for certain games, to do moves on it because you kind of have 8 buttons and you only have 5 fingers to control those 8 buttons, and you can't. I don't really feel comfortable using my little finger to actually press buttons, so you've kind of got 4 fingers but 8 buttons to press. It's a little weird. It definitely works better for Injustice than I think other games. I was trying to play MK on it. I mean, granted, I've been playing MK on a pad for 2 years, so it's a big adjustment. But I feel MK is easier to play, on just a regular controller. But yeah, Injustice, I'm not too impressed with it so far, to be perfectly honest. There's something just really off about the way jumping feels in that game. That's my biggest complaint with it so far. I've tried a few characters out just to see if it's like character specific, and it doesn't. Like the jumps seem really imprecise. I don't feel like I've got much control when I jump, like forward or backwards. Like overall, it's just kind of something that I don't know if I'll get past it. Like playing like multiple fighting games at once it has its benefits and it has its drawbacks, but I'm probably going to focus mainly on like Tekken and MK for now, and then probably like just carry on with Injustice and just see what happens with the scene. I'm not really haven't really looked into like too much of the kind of tournament aspects of it because I mean, again, I don't have anybody to play and just that takes a lot of time. But yeah, I don't know. There's just something off about it at the moment. I must say, it's. I think it doesn't help that like I've got no connection to any character. Like the did you play like just 1v1 or did you play the story mode at all?
Yeah, I was just playing 1v1 with my flatmates. But...
Yeah, I've tried the story mode and like the intro stuff for the story. Just, I mean, I don't know, it just seemed kind of lame. Like the way like they would address like each other as like their superhero names. It just doesn't, like there's Batman and Superman. Like,
I guess that's just a.
Like and it's just weird, like Batman saying like Superman, what are you doing? And it's like it just doesn't really. I don't know. Like that's not a complaint of the game, obviously. It's just kind of weird. But other than that, like it seems really fun. It's a fun game to play. It's just I don't know. Like I've only had it for like 4 days, so I haven't really had much of a chance to like get really into it at the moment. But,
I mean, I don't play enough fighting games to like say anything massively intelligent or insightful about it, but I quite liked it. It was certainly more different to MK than I thought it would be.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad they've made it different.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want to just play the same game, but with superheroes, even though that might make me actually good at the game, or slightly better than my flatmates, but. Yeah, it seems all right so far. Just the only thing that I sort of noticed was that whole like wager system thing seems sort of redundant.
I haven't really figured that out yet, to be honest. I'm not sure how that really works.
Okay, well, as far as I can tell, it's basically like it's essentially just the combo breaker, except when you do it, you like bet.
Yeah, you bet your meter.
Yeah,
you can bet your super meter on it.
Which to me seems silly because why wouldn't you just bet like the maximum amount?
Yeah, I don't know. That seems. I mean, I can't really. I mean, it depends on like meter management. Like, I mean, it's hard to tell like how much of a like how important meter management will be. I mean, it's always going to be important, but
yeah.
Like using MK as an example, just I mean, it's the same developer. Like, meter is everything in MK. Like, if you don't have meter, you're fucked. Like you can't break, you don't have your EX moves, like, armor is a huge thing in MK, like, and a lot of characters have it, so, like, maybe with the metagame evolving, like, the wager system will make more sense, but to me, it just seems a little bit random. Like, just from the few times I've been playing, in the story mode, and, like, I've had a wager system, like, it seems like, they'll break out of a combo I'm doing or something, and they'll get, like, 30% health back. It's like, that's...
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you could argue like there's some strategy for like burning, like 2 or 3 bars of meter to get some health back. Like fair enough, but I don't know. I see how that evolves, but so far I think it seems like a pretty solid game. But I think with fighting games you have to wait at least 6 months to really kind of be able to say anything about a fighting game when it comes out. You can't really like review a fighting game in a week. It's like because you can't really say much about it.
Yeah.
In that amount of time. But so far, I'm enjoying it, but just kind of, more invested in Tekken and MK at the moment. So. What else did I play this week? I played a lot of Gears 3 as well. I played a lot of Gears 3. I just got like a 3-month card for Xbox Live, and just been playing a shitload of Gears 3. And that game is still kind of broken in its own way, but I'll be damned if that game is not fun as fuck to play. It's just you have to not care when you play Gears. You really do. If you can master that, if you can master not caring, like it's so much fun to play. I mean, Gears is Gears. I'm not going to get into Gears at this point, but yeah, it's just really fun, and I really like playing it. I also did try to play some Halo 4, seeing as I had Xbox Live. And I played 2 games, and they were by far the laggiest fucking games I've ever had in Halo. Like, and it's the worst kind of lag. It wasn't like the kind of bullet delay and that kind of shit. It was like There was like really, really bad like input latency 'Like, you'd move, like your movement was fucking horrid. Like you couldn't hit fucking anything, and I don't know what really caused that. Like, 'cause my internet is way above average at this point, so I don't really think that's a me problem. I think that was probably a Halo problem, but I haven't really kept up with Halo 4 at all because I don't know, it just wasn't that. Like, I enjoyed it when it came out, but it didn't really hold my attention.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's pretty much it for, I guess, online shit. What else did I play this week? There was something else I'm forgetting. I hate when I forget games. What did I play? Damn it. Yeah, it's gone. I know I played something. Shit. Yeah, I can't remember. I'll probably remember later in the podcast. It's cool. But yeah, that's pretty much it, apart from the game I can't remember that I played.
Okay. Yeah. I played some interesting things, I guess. Let's see. I played a bit of Fatal Frame earlier in the weekend, probably better known in the UK's Project Zero. Because that came out on PSN, and I remember that game being quite scary when I was like 13. Turns out it's not as scary as I thought it was, I guess. But I don't even know where to start. It's like it's sort of essentially Resident Evil with ghosts, I'd say. Like tank controls, everything like that, and you kill ghosts by taking pictures of them, of course. And yeah, I mean it's interesting, I guess, just as sort of like a bit of a curiosity. It's like a decent little adventure game, but like none of the horror elements. I mean, there's a few good jump scares, I guess, but the atmosphere is just almost non-existent, I'd say. And like it's probably not helped that like all of the voice acting is completely terrible. Like,
yeah,
some of the worst I've ever heard.
I think that's just a problem that a lot of older games have, don't they? Like,
yeah,
voice acting in older games. I mean, voice acting in most games to this day is still pretty shit. For the most, or it's just kind of average. It's just kind of there.
Yeah, this is far below average. It's completely like emotionless, like just people saying the lines essentially, just reading it off a piece of paper, not actually acting, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean it is still interesting to play. I think I might play a bit more of it, but it's not as scary as I remembered it being, I guess.
I think it always sucks a little bit when you go back to an older game that you like have really good memories of, and you play it and you're like,
yeah,
this isn't as good as I remember it being.
Yeah, that does sort of suck, but yeah. So I might play a bit more of that. Actually, I had to make a US PSN account because it's only on the US store, which I didn't realize you could do because I had this whole. I think I might have talked about it on here actually. So Persona 3 came out for the US PSN, but never came out in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up actually buying a PS2 copy of it and playing it briefly on a friend's PlayStation 2 before that became unavailable to me. That was like a couple of months ago, and then
couldn't you play that on a launch PS3?
Yeah, I don't have a launch PS3.
They're region free.
Yeah, I think it was like the first wave of PS3s had like backwards compatibility, then they took it out.
Yeah, they did. All the launch PS3s were backwards compatible.
Yeah,
so, like all the way to PS1. I think.
Yeah. I think all PS3s are still PS1 backwards compatible, but not PS2, which is a weird distinction.
Yeah, I mean backwards compatibility. Like I kind of miss it more with PlayStation games.
Yeah,
I don't know why. Like I just kind of like playing a lot of.
I think it's just a bigger.
Yeah, it's a bigger library, I guess. Yeah, like it's made me want to go back and play like older Tekkens, but I'd have to dig out my PS2 and hook it up, and I just can't be bothered. Like,
yeah,
I just can't be doing with that. So,
yeah, I mean it's just sort of like it's that thing where it's like, oh, every couple of months you think of a game, it's like, oh, I'd really like to play that, but I haven't got any reasonable way of playing it without having to like buy a PS2.
It's a convenience thing, I guess. Like if like backwards compatibility is not a huge deal, but when I had my launch PS3 and, that was the PS3 I used, it was cool to just, I fancy playing Resident Evil 2. I can just put, my PS1 copy of Resident Evil 2 in this PS3 and I can play it. Like, it's nice for convenience, but it's not a huge deal.
Yeah.
Do you think what do you think they're going to do next gen wise with backwards compatibility? Because
I mean, it sounded like the Sony press conference, it was all going to be like streaming stuff like that. I'm fairly sure they said flat out there's no backwards compatibility, so it's all going to be like that Gaikai stuff. That
I'm wondering like how they'll handle it with digital stuff, because
that's the weird thing.
Yeah, like I want to be able to play Journey on my PS4, and I don't want to have to buy it again to do that. Like, I want to play like, the games I've downloaded. There's something about like, when you've downloaded something and you quote unquote own it digitally, you shouldn't have to really, have to buy it again just to play it on a new system. Like if it's digital, it should just be, you should just be able to put it on that system and use it. And I think that's a huge deal for the next Xbox as well. I think that is probably even bigger because like, I think Xbox Live Arcade is, for the most part, I mean, it is better than like the kind of, there's a more solid library on the, Xbox Live Arcade. And I've probably got about, I think 30 or so, XBLA games. And, I want them to work on the new Xbox. I don't want to have to either, buying them again is obviously like worst case scenario, but like if there's no way to get them to play is, even worse than that, I guess. Like I want them to be able to work.
Yeah. So yeah, making a US PSN account made me realize that I could just buy Persona 3 on PSN. So I did that. I just haven't actually sat down and played it. I think I might do that tonight actually because I handed in my dissertation yesterday. So that's
nice.
Yeah, that's out of the way. So I sort of took today and yesterday just off from doing anything, and I actually didn't play that much. I thought I'll play some games. I haven't actually been able to sit down and just play stuff for a while, but I didn't really get it done. Although I did play a bit of Starseed Pilgrim, which I don't know if you saw the quick look for that.
I'm so behind on Giant Bomb and shit.
Yeah.
Giant Bomb video in probably a month.
Yeah. So Starseed Pilgrim is a indie platformer, but sort of not really. It's hard to describe. So you start off in this sort of hub world, I guess, and you go down in this little passage and end up in this other world where you can plant these seeds, which I think there's 7. I don't know. There's 7 different types, maybe. That I pulled that number out my arse, so that could be completely wrong. There's a bunch of different types. Basically, they all have like different properties. So like one of them is this green one that'll just sort of sprout blocks randomly, and then there's like a blue one which gives you this big jump thing, and then there's a one that'll sprout this thing that creates other seeds and that sort of thing. And your basic objective is to like grow your way into these keys. But as soon as you collect a key, you end up in this like different black and white crazy world. And you have to, once you like leave that black and white world, you end up back in the hub world. And if you've got a key, you can like get in and carry your seeds over from the other world and like get to these other little hubs. So like the game doesn't explain any of this to you, so it's a bit, I don't know. So some people describe it as sort of Fez-like, I guess, in that a lot of the game is sort of the discovering of things and like working out like things that the game can do. Like the fun of the game is learning, I guess. Which is pretty true. It's just that to like actually make progress in that game takes a lot of work, and all that work can be screwed up by like one little move. And you end up sort of doing the same repetitive task over and over again as you try and like build to get to these different hubs, because it's just like as soon as you like run out of seeds or fuck up, you go back to the other world and it's like, okay, you know, I've got to get another key and then get through to that world and then do this. And it's like it's basically doing the same task over and over again. So that can be a bit frustrating, I guess. But I I still like it, I guess. It's interesting.
It sounds different.
Yeah, I think it's like
Just,
like 450 on Steam, so it's not like a
God, I
massive
need to check
investment.
Steam. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean that was like that's the first thing I've bought on Steam in what feels like forever. So
I don't think I've even fucking loaded up Steam in probably 2 or 3 weeks. It's been just been so fucking busy. Fucking work. I'm looking forward to it quieting down. I've got a lot of shit to catch up on game wise. I think it's why I'm mainly like gravitating towards fighting games more so at the moment. Like you can just pop them in and play. Like there's no there's no story or anything like that. Just put it in and have a blast.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to try and get further in that game, but I keep on sort of like hitting roadblocks and being like, oh, I can't be bothered to do this because I'm just doing the same thing over and over again. But I sort of want to see what else this game has to offer. Also it has these rooms which I haven't unlocked yet that require 3 keys. I haven't been able to do it because that takes some doing and quite a lot of luck, I guess, to actually get 3 keys. It's a hard game to describe. Just because it's not really similar to anything else I've played. So I don't know, play that, I guess. I mean, I've already put like 5 hours into it, and I only bought it yesterday, so that game's cool, I guess. I played a bit of Papers, Please, which I don't know if you know what this is at all.
I have not heard of that. No.
Oh, okay. So Papers, Please is it's in beta, I think, at the minute. Free game, which I just Google it, I guess, if you want it. This dude whose last name is Pope, I can't remember his first name, made it. And it is a game where you are like a border control guard in some like weird, like made up Eastern European country. And you know, people are coming through you and you're like deciding whether or not they should be allowed to come into your country. And like each person has their a few of the people have their own little stories. Like this scenario where this woman comes up and like you let her in and she hands you a note that this some other guy that's in the queue waiting to see you as like some human trafficker, and that like if you don't deny him entry to the country, he'll probably take a bunch of women, like kidnap them and turn them into sex slaves or something. It's like, okay, well, all this dude's stuff is in order, but like, do I just deny him on the principle, or basically on the word of this woman that he's some evil sex criminal, and like stuff like that. It's pretty weird. There's like I'm trying to think of other weird stuff that happens. Like there's sometimes you'll let a dude through and he will just blow up some like security guards or whatever. It's like, oh, that's unfortunate. That game's really interesting. Yeah, so that the content of anything, and even it's a bit like Cart Life in a way, but slightly less stressful because you are under time pressure, because like when you like finish a day, like based on the amount of dudes that you like deal with, you get like a certain amount of money, and you have to feed your family, which I think consists of like your wife, son, daughter, and like brother-in-law or something. And like you need to keep them warm and like fed, and like you also have to pay like bills and stuff, or rent, I think it is, which comes automatically out of your salary. So if you don't have any money left for like food and warmth, I guess, then they're gonna either go cold or hungry. That game's
This game sounds depressing.
Yeah, it is. It's like it's pretty bleak. Like
it's like, hey, is real life not shitty enough?
Yeah,
like let's simulate all this bullshit.
Yeah, and like as like the days progress, you just get more and more rules. So like at one point there's a terrorist attack from someone from this other country. So the next day you have to scan, like, do this body scan on like every person who comes from that country who tries to get into your country. Which, like, I kept on like fucking up because I was like, I'd look at it, like, it has all the details in the passport. It's like, yeah, whatever. Okay, he's fine. I let him through, and then you get like these little warnings that are like, oh, you let a dude through from that country without scanning him, like, you get a warning or whatever. And I think if you fuck up 3 times, they take a certain amount of your wages, like a pretty significant chunk actually, which fucks you up because you need to feed your kids. Yeah, that game's interesting, and I think there's 9 days in it so far. I think it's at like version 0.5 or something, so it's obviously not.
All right.
But yeah, totally free. So Google Papers, Please, I guess.
That seems like an interesting
sort
of setup. Like,
I don't know how randomized it is because I only played it through once, so I'm not sure if it's just like the exact same dudes come through every time or not. That game's interesting. And last but not least, I guess, Joe, you'll be happy to hear this. I played maybe 2 hours or so of Dust.
Oh yeah, cool. Oh, you've played it. Well done.
Yeah, got in a couple of hours.
Cool.
That game seems really good.
Yeah, you're damn fucking right it does.
I pretty much got to the point. I got maybe an hour after when you start, like, you find the first village and get like quests and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that
Nice.
game seems good. I agree with everything you said. I think
the game is, as I said, the RPG story bullshit. No longer an excuse for having shitty gameplay. Because fucking god, I need to play through that game again. Gameplay in that game is so tight. Like,
yeah.
the controls are just fucking ridiculous. They're so good. What difficulty are you going through on? Just normal? To start with.
I believe so.
Yeah, because that, I mean, each to their own, but like that's the game you need to play through that on its hardest mode. It's fucking, it's like really old school style of difficulty. Like on the harder modes, like one hit pretty much from any enemy will kill you. It's like you have to just not get hit, like, ever. And it's but more importantly, the combat has it can back it up. Like, it's if you figure out the system, like, what you have to do not to get hit, like manipulating enemies and like using the terrain a lot of the time to your advantage. Like, it's really, really cool, and you virtually never get that in RPGs, like, and you very rarely get that in games anyway to begin, like, period now. So yeah, it's like I won't reiterate stuff about Dust, but that game is really good. So it's cool that you played it. What do you think of what's the name? Fidget, the sidekick?
Yeah.
She's usually like a love it or hate it kind of character.
I don't know. She's all right, I guess. I was like at like when you first meet her, and I don't know. She doesn't have a very good introduction, I guess. I was sort of like, oh, this is gonna be terrible because she's gonna be in the whole game. But yeah, she's all right.
I think it helps that she's a sidekick that's actually really fucking useful.
Yeah.
Like the fidget abilities. I think, have you only got the like the kind of standard projectile?
Oh, I got the second one, the like beams of fire.
Beams of fire, yeah. When you get I mean, they're all really, really useful. But like the one you get, I think, for the 3rd or 4th boss, is like a stun system, like stun enemy system. I won't go into details because it's kind of spoilery, but that just like really opens up the combat to just like fucking insane combo potential. Like, it's just so much fun.
Yeah. That game seems really interesting. I'm still not a massive fan of like the character art, but it's not like it's not egregious to the point where I'm like, oh, I can't play the game. It's just like,
yeah. I mean, neither was I really. Like, I wasn't.
It's like my one complaint against the game so far.
I admire it for like kind of just the pure artistic nature of it. Like it looks gorgeous.
Like, yeah, like all the backgrounds and stuff look awesome, and like the animation is obviously really good. It's just it's just that character art.
Yeah, the character. I think the main dude looks fucking awesome.
Yeah,
like I think he looks really cool.
Yeah, I think it might just be the eyes. I can't get past the eyes.
Yeah, it is very, it is very, anime furry bullshit. But
yeah,
yeah, like that. I think, I agree. Like that shouldn't stop you from playing that game. It's, if you don't play games based on how they look, then what the fuck are you doing to begin with? But there would be a lot of games that you wouldn't play because of how they look. If that's kind of your cut off for not playing something.
I think that was it for games.
Yeah, I think so. I still haven't played BioShock. I need to. I might get that tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Get some time.
Yeah. I did bad. I went for a run this morning because I'm supposed to be running the Great North Run. That was bad. I felt it. It was sort of like
not make you feel better.
No, it was like because I mean I like the feeling like maybe like 2 hours later I was like, yeah, I want to run, and like like this, I don't know, self accomplishment I guess, but like the like immediate like, oh, I think I want to vomit and I think I want to collapse, like that's not
it. You need exercise to be fun. I mean,
yeah,
I don't really get much, but the past month I joined a paintballing team from work, and like that is fucking tiring.
Yeah.
But like it's so much fun. Like you just don't care. And it's like that is so cool. But yeah, like I actually like just going for a run. Like, fuck that shit.
Yeah. So hopefully like I actually start running a lot more.
Yeah.
I'll get to the point where I don't need to like collapse.
If exercising, you need to make it fun. Like do something fun. Don't just fucking grind like running or some shit. Like that's just not fun. Life's way too short for that. Come on.
Yeah. So I guess moving on to news, there's not too much.
Really quiet week for news.
Yeah. We missed this last week.
Well, yeah, we missed. One of ours is.
There is a Batman Origins game coming out at the end of the year ish. So it's not made by Rocksteady. I think it's
the same engine though, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's called Arkham Origins, so I assume it's going to be it's going to have like the Arkham combat system and stuff like that.
Yeah. Warner Brother, someone, I don't know who it is specifically. It's one of the Warner Brother game studios. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure of any of the details of that game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. My initial reaction is that it's going to be like the Gears Judgment and God of War Ascension of the Arkham series. It's just it'll come out, and I think that'll probably do better actually, because there's only been 2 of those games, whereas Gears and God of War there's been a lot more. Well, there's only been 3 Gears games, but that's kind of my initial reaction to this. But I'm really looking forward to it because in a lot of ways, I really felt Arkham City was vastly inferior to Arkham Asylum. Like in the single player, like the combat system is better in Arkham City, and I find it more fun to play that combat system. But like the campaign for Arkham City, I didn't think was very good at all. The open world was just completely pointless. Like it was just there. It had no real like open world kind of trademarks. The collectible system was just fucking stupid. Like there's so many. Like that is, I think that's just a textbook example of how you don't do collectibles. Like, just really fucking dumb. Like, and the fact that they still tie, for me, the best part about that game into collecting them is just ugh. Like
yeah.
I think there's a couple of things that maybe a new development team might actually look at that and think, yeah, fuck this shit. Like we're gonna change this up, as long as they don't alter the combat stuff, and make the combat a little bit more solid. That'd be nice. But yeah, I think it'd be cool. I think a prequel always gives them an excuse to kind of do things a little bit different. So Did you say that's due out this year? Would that be like end?
Yeah, I think like October and November.
Yeah, Arkham City was 2011, right?
Yeah, October the 25th. It's coming out.
Ah, cool. I'll definitely look forward to that.
Yeah.
Wonder if it'll have multiplayer.
I don't know.
I can see it.
I don't know.
What's it?
Apparently it's all
Rocksteady
like,
were pretty adamant about Arkham City, weren't they? It was like, we're not putting multiplayer in this to, fucking air quote focus on the single player. So, well, good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised to see multiplayer in it, even if it's just co-op for stealth or something. Or I think co-op for the combat could be. I don't know. Maybe it could work. Like, I mean, it's a simple enough combat system.
Yeah.
To just kind of put a second player in there and have like assists and stuff. But I don't think there's a way you can put in versus multiplayer into that game without just making it, it's a third person shooter and you're trying to kill Batman or some shit like that, which would be fucking terrible. But apparently this is Arkham Origins due out for the Vita as well. I'm just having a quick look.
Wii U, PS3, Xbox 360, and PC.
Huh, this is weird.
There was a 3DS and Vita game called Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate, which
right, that's the one I'm looking at. Yeah, I was like, that would be weird.
Which is made by
if they had a fucking if I could have like that combat system, like that might get me to buy a Vita. If it was just like that'd be the kind of game where I'd be totally fine with just like a mission mode where it was just tons of combat missions. That'd be awesome. I'd buy that shit.
So yeah, that's coming out October 25th. Not really sure about what it's even about, but sounds obviously like a prequel. I assume.
I wonder if it could be like because at the beginning of Arkham Asylum, Batman's captured the Joker, hasn't he? And he's taking him to Arkham Asylum. I wonder if it will be sort of like the setup, this is how Batman, arrested the Joker in the first place, and then this is kind of what led up to Arkham, because that was his whole plan, wasn't it? In that game, he plans to get captured.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe they could do something with that, but I just hope they don't do the whole open world setup again. Because it just and if they do it, actually make use of it. Don't just have a massive fucking load of empty space that's just get from point A to point B.
Yeah. It sounds like it's like basically open world Gotham City, but I don't know. I mean,
there's potential there. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, the movement mechanics and that. You could easily do it. It's just I really don't think they did. There was that open world was completely useless. Like, it didn't add anything. So I think it just, it took away from kind of the tight pacing of the first game, just for no reason at all.
Yeah. Let's see. Joe actually alerted me to this story. Apparently, Heavy Rain has made $100 million. Was it dollars?
Yeah, apparently. I mean,
okay, so that's like £2, but whatever.
You can always take that sort of info with a pinch of salt, but that is pretty fucking impressive for in this era
thing that game actually is,
and what that game is. So
I just can't remember if that game got any real marketing push over here.
I remember seeing it, like, definitely online, but not sort of out and about. I never really seeing it and it being kind of promoted or anything like that.
I just can't. I can't work out how this occurred.
I mean, stranger things have happened.
I guess.
I'm trying to think of one, but I mean, Borderlands was considered kind of a runaway success, wasn't it? I mean, I know Borderlands is, a lot more contemporary, I guess, than Heavy Rain, but I just can't really think of something kind of out of the blue like Heavy Rain that did really, really well.
No. I mean, it's nice. Like I think I said to Joe before we started, like I do like that game despite its many flaws. I David Cage is a weird dude, and I'm not 100% sure he is as artistic as he thinks he is, but he Heavy Rain was interesting, and I am sort of excited for Beyond, which obviously is new game, or his studio's new game at least. But yeah, that's nice to see though. Like that sort of game, getting that those sorts of sales figures is cool. I think I also saw a story that Binding of Isaac, which is Team Meat's like second game, or at least one of the members of Team Meat's second game, has reached like 2 million sales or something, which for a tiny little indie game.
I haven't played that yet. I got that in the Steam sale. It just reminded me.
Yeah, that game's interesting. I don't love it as much as I love Super Meat Boy, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. A Link to the Past 2 exists. There's a sequel to A Link to the Past. I sort of wish we had Brad here because I've never played a Zelda game.
Me neither. Well, I have played one. I played, I think it was the Wind Waker on the GameCube. And really, really did not like what I played.
Yeah. So we don't really know what we're talking about here, but
yeah, I can't really remember enough about it. But like that just did nothing for me.
Yeah,
it really didn't.
So I don't know. People seem to like Link to the Past, so I guess it's probably good news.
It's a Zelda game, so I mean,
people are always wanting those.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's coming out on 3DS at some point.
Not Wii U.
No, I don't.
It seems weird. It seems like Nintendo are focusing a lot more on the 3DS than the Wii U. Like, I almost forgot that the Wii U's out.
Yeah, there's nothing. No, it's 3DS. Looks like.
I mean, like, there's no real big Wii U exclusive, is there? Besides, I mean, and Zombie U, I think, was received pretty well, but other than that, not a whole lot to talk about regarding that system.
No.
Except the fact that it's doing really badly.
Yeah. No. So this came from like Nintendo Direct, which is like these live streams that Nintendo do every once in a while. And actually, I thought Patrick Klepek of GiantBomb.com made an interesting point where he said like if they're announcing like A Link to the Past 2, which is seems as very significant and eagerly anticipated game on like Nintendo Direct, their weird live stream thing, then like what have they got for E3? Because that seems like the thing that you would leave for E3 because I mean it's not coming out until like early 2014 apparently.
Yeah.
So
I mean, what have they got for E3?
Well,
I
mean,
Microsoft,
they might have something crazy. I don't.
I mean, yeah, like a new Smash Brothers maybe. I mean that. I mean that's not. I mean you can't have like the whole thing of E3 just be one game.
Yeah.
There's not really. I mean Microsoft and Sony. I mean we know what we're going to get from them at E3. It's probably going to be actually seeing the consoles. Nintendo kind of, don't really got much. But, I mean, Brad is like kind of our Nintendo dude anyway. So.
Yeah. Well, actually, my flatmate today, in fact, basically offered me his 3DS.
What?
So,
For
well,
free?
not for free.
Wow.
But
that's nice.
Yeah, he's waiting on his brother to either accept or reject it. So, hopefully he's like, I don't care, so I can have it because I am not a handheld device in like forever.
I've been using my PSP a lot this past month with like going to and from work. Yeah, like that. I really like the PSP. I think. I mean, that came out was it 2005?
It was. Oh, was it not?
2000, maybe 2004, 2000. I'm going to look that up actually. That system does not feel that old.
Um, announced during E3 2003, released
Yes, yeah, September 2005.
yeah.
2004 in Japan, but 2005 in North America and Europe. Holy shit, that is nearly 10 years old. Yeah, like I've been using that a lot. Like there's some I mean this I feel quite lucky. Like there's some games on it that I really like the puzzle games on there are really good. The Tekken game that's on it is a really good Tekken game. There's some great like old school compilations. But just using it as like a media device almost, like being able to have video on it and music and pictures and that kind of shit. Like I don't know, that device almost feels ahead of its time for when it came out. Like you think like what it is still capable of now. You know, you can do a lot with that thing, and I don't really feel like because I've been like toying with the idea of getting a Vita like since I've been using my PSP more, and the more I use my PSP, the more I think I don't really need a Vita because there's not really any game on the Vita bar like I don't know probably MK that I really want a Vita for, and I don't really want to spend that much on it just to play that and then have to get like all my PSP games again, either digitally or whatever for the Vita. So I'm just kind of sticking with the PSP at the moment. But yeah, I think handhelds are in a weird place though. I think they've been in a weird place for a while. So I don't think we'll see another handheld from either company, to be honest.
Yeah.
Unless it's just like hardware revisions, like there'll be a new Vita that might remove. Like, I mean, I think the Vita could do without the back touch thing. I mean, that seems to be the one thing on that system that's just kind of there, and it's just not necessary and doesn't really add anything at all.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I kept on thinking, oh, it'd be awesome to have a PlayStation Vita. I just can't think of any games that are really like.
Yeah, I just kind of want one because they're fucking sexy, man. It's a sexy piece of kit, but there's just like apart from, I mean, I'd play the shit out of MK on that thing, but other than that, like there's really nothing on it that I want to play. I would download Super Stardust just because that game's fucking awesome. And it has 2 analog sticks, so you actually be able to play it properly. But that's not exclusive to the Vita. There's a couple of puzzle games on there that I played when I did play with one that I did like, but there's not enough on there to really warrant buying one yet. And they're still like way over 200 for like a decent package. So.
Okay. Last bit of news, I think, unless I'm forgetting something. Shinji Mikami has a new game called The Evil Within, which I'm not sure when it's. I don't think there's been that many details released. There's a weird like live action trailer thing, which is bizarre and looks like a bad like 9 Inch Nails video. So there's that, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. It looks weird.
I'm excited for it purely because it's Shinji Mikami, and that dude knows a thing or two about making video games.
Yeah.
Look no further than the fucking games, like the games that guy has been kind of the the helm of. It's kind of ridiculous when you think about it. But yeah, like I'm hoping it can kind of rejuvenate survival horror a little bit. I mean, I think that's definitely what he's going for, but like horror's just, I mean, horror's so subjective to begin with, but like there's not really any. Like, I think the closest thing to what felt like a survival horror game this generation was the fucking Saw game. And like that game is, I really like that game. I'll say it that that it was simple, but that nailed kind of the the musts of a survival horror game. It was like without making the gameplay shit and just not fun to play. Like the puzzles, the kind of being trapped in this kind of a certain kind of environment, like almost like a mansion setup, but it was like this old industrial kind of complex that you were trapped inside. Really fucking gritty and grimy and dirty and like fucking just brutal combat. Like you should play that game. Like if you're a fan of like old school horror kind of shit like that, the first Saw game is really good. I did not expect it to like a game based on Saw. I was kind of skeptical going in, and that's probably why I enjoyed it so much. Like because I was expecting it to be probably not very good. But yeah, like that game is really really good. I highly recommend you play that if you want a old school horror experience.
Yeah.
And like horror's just kind of all horror just becomes action eventually. It just becomes full on action. There's like pure horror, I think it just doesn't really exist anymore. And the games that people say are horror, I don't really count them as horror. Like, I can't really think of one off the top of my head, to be honest. But like Amnesia's one actually. I found that game just boring as fuck. Whereas, people, like shit their pants playing that game, and fair enough. Like, I'm not saying they're right or I'm wrong or vice versa, but I just found that game boring. Like, there was I found it had no tension because I didn't really, there was no kind of goal, if you know what I mean. It was just kind of wandering around, and it's like, yeah. Like this does it for some people, but like for horror and that kind of stuff, it doesn't really do it for me. So, there's probably people screaming like, "Oh, Amnesia's amazing."
I quite like Amnesia.
You're a fucking idiot. It's like, yeah, that's cool, but
horror is very subjective.
Oh yeah, it is. I mean, I seem to be fairly alone in this, but like I found the first BioShock in certain parts to be quite scary.
Oh yeah, definitely. I remember feeling like, am I playing the right game? Because like it seemed like when people were talking about it, they weren't talking about, oh, it's quite scary. They're talking about,
I felt like I think the first time you like fight a big daddy, and then like you kind of hear a big daddy like lurking around and shit, and like you can hear the little sister kind of saying the stuff that they say, and it's like really fucking macabre shit. And like, yeah, I found like a lot of the stuff in the first BioShock like really scary and really atmospheric, and like that's not a game that you would look at and think, oh, this is a scary game.
Yeah. I guess that's gonna do it for this week.
Yeah, I think so. Unless you want to talk about Game of Thrones.
Did we talk about it last?
I don't think we've recorded since season 3 has started, have we?
No, definitely. We've definitely recorded
have
since
we?
then. Yeah. I am actually certain that we talked about.
Did we talk about episode 1? I think we talked about the first episode, but we didn't record last week. Did we? So, anyway, well, yeah, whatever. Are you caught up on it? Like, have you?
Yeah. I've
watched
the
latest episode. So, I'm liking what they're doing so far this season. I think they're making it less boring, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like the way they're handling some of the like Daenerys stuff is not. I don't know. I'm not. I feel like they've cut out a lot of that. I mean, I know a lot of it was pretty uneventful, but there was a lot of information there that they seem to have just kind of just really skimmed over. But the first like part 1 of the third book definitely had its slow parts.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, overall, I think that they're doing a really great job. I think episode 3, I think one of the most fun parts about it is a lot of the people where I work watch it, and none of them have read the book. And like seeing like kind of listening to their reactions, like especially at the end of the last episode. Spoilers obviously, because we're going to talk about what happens when Jaime gets his hand cut off. Like everybody was like, "Holy fucking shit!" Like they had no idea that was coming, and I think that's one of the most important events, in my opinion, at least in the books, because like that, like the effect that has on his character is just so important. It completely changes him, and I think that's going to be really fun to see that like pan out in the show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm intrigued to see like how much of like part two of the books they include, because like obviously like I said that they've cut out a significant part for like Daenerys bit, so she's pretty much almost in part two now.
Yeah, yeah, she is. And
so I mean that obviously shows that they're willing to skip bits if they
yeah, I mean the Red Wedding is supposedly this season, I think.
Yeah.
As far as I know, I think it's like episode 9.
Yeah, I think that's what I heard as well.
And yeah, people are gonna flip out over that.
Probably.
Understandably. I think it's interesting because I get a feeling this is probably how they're gonna make the 4th season not completely shit and boring that nobody watches it. I imagine they'll like include some stuff from like book 5.
Yeah, I'd hope
alongside season 4 to kind of keep people watching season 4. How far are you in the 5th book?
I actually finished it today.
Oh man, we can't. Well, I suppose we could do a mini spoiler cast because Brad's not here.
Dude, I don't even.
Dude. Yeah, okay, all right. Let's be real about this. Brad is being too Hollywood, and this is his punishment. I'm gonna timestamp this, and I'll tell him, like, yo, don't listen to this part of the podcast.
I don't think I'm as enthused as everyone.
There's mainly just one. I gotta admit, there's one bit I have to talk about.
Is it the bit with Jon?
It's the bit with Jon. So, yeah, spoilers for people that haven't read book 5. Stop listening right now. Stop listening right now. Do you think he's dead? Is my main question, really. Because the way that bit ends, I was expecting another Jon chapter before the end of the book. Like I really was. I didn't think he'd actually end it there for him.
I don't think he's dead.
I don't think he's dead either.
I think when he kills main characters, he makes it fairly obvious they're dead.
Yeah, it's very definitive. Like when Robb is killed in book 3, like I'm paraphrasing slightly, but like I think plunging his sword directly through his heart is fairly close to the line.
Yeah.
Just to describe that, it's like, yeah, he's dead. Like, he is definitely dead. There's a certain amount of kind of mystery after what happens with Jon. And, I really hope he's not. Like that bit in the book really caught me off guard. Like he was the one character that I've kind of pegged to actually make it out. Like actually survive until the end. Him and Arya are like the only two that I think are actually gonna. They're the only two that I would bet money on that are still going to be alive. Once all is said and done.
Yeah.
But the stuff with Arya I really liked in book 5. I think it's kind of awesome. Like the arc she's taken. I really like the arc.
I think he's cool. For me, this obviously completely personal opinion, but he's basically done a book 4 with book 5, but he's taken all the characters that you liked and made them do really boring shit now. I think Arya's stuff was boring. Tyrion's stuff is boring now. Daenerys is really boring. Daenerys is completely
the Daenerys stuff
now.
I agree with. Like it seemed like the biggest thing.
She's got fucking dragons and he's made it boring. It's like
the book is called The Dance with Dragons. This is my main beef with book 5 in general. I think so. Overall, I do think I really really enjoyed book 5, but my main beef was with it's called A Dance with Dragons, and like the dragons are only really kind of an important part for like the last fucking probably not even half of the second part.
No, definitely less than
maybe
that.
Not even that. Like it seemed like the biggest thing with Daenerys was the fact that she finally fucked fucking Dario in this book. Like, there was fucking God knows how many, like, descriptions of how, like, she fucking fucks him. It's like, yeah, great. Like, like, I know I kind of expect this from these books to a degree, but, just, like, and it seems like the dragons are kind of, not fully grown, but I mean, like, they're big enough to ride now in this book. So, they must be pretty fucking big. And
Yeah.
just, I don't know, he seems almost like, I don't want to say scared, but, really, I don't know, just like, doesn't really want to kind of go all out with the dragons,
It seems to me that's the whole problem with the series now, is it feels like everyone is like on the edge of doing something awesome or crazy, and then it just doesn't happen.
I think the stuff with Arya, I really did like the stuff with Arya, to be honest. I think her eventual, like, I think she'll be kind of I don't really see anybody in, like, the Seven Kingdoms part of the world actually getting shit done.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Jon could be dead for all we know. But I mean, he kind of, the last thing he says is, right, I'm gonna, fuck this shit. I'm gonna go and fuck up, Ramsay Bolton, and then from there on, like, he probably would have, like, fucked up shit in King's Landing as well. So he could be dead for all we know. I think he really was. Catelyn wasn't in this book at all, was she?
No.
Didn't think so. I think it's weird that, like, that hasn't really come to anything yet.
Yeah.
And I really want something to happen there, but I don't think that's really going to be the main event. I think Arya is kind of will be the one to, have the final word, like the final vengeance will be her because of, like, where she is and what she's doing. That's kind of how I see it happening. I mean, I could be wrong. I probably am wrong, but there's just not many, like, there's not many kind of season 1 characters left at this point.
No.
I mean, I don't really count Jaime as the same character anymore. Like, he is kind of, he is left over from that season, but
yeah,
from that book, but he's just not the same character at all. I think Cersei should have died in this book.
Oh yeah, I really did not like how it feels so obvious that he's not going to, like, he feels like he's like, oh, I'm not going to give her revenge. I know that's what everyone wanted to die, so I'm specifically not going to have her die.
It felt like we were going to get it though. Like, at the end of book 4, like, she finally gets like caught, for lack of a better word. She finally fucking gets it. And then in this book, it's like, oh, she has a fucking head shaved and, like, that's it. And, like, the way she kind of, like, seemed to get out of that, like, made no sense to me, unless I just missed a page.
No, she didn't.
She was going to her trial, she was getting, like, fucking shit and fucking stuff thrown at her and shit, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh no, you're fine. This dude that could be the Mountain is gonna, like, go and fuck up everybody for you. Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Like, that was it. It was like, what? Like, I really felt like I missed something when that happened. Like, I really thought I had, like, misread a part or skipped over, because it just made no sense to me how, like, all of a sudden she just seems to be still getting away with fucking everything. And at this point it just doesn't make any sense. Like how she's managed to get away with the stuff that she's been doing for so long, when she's so, like, adamant about just, like, fucking people over in a heartbeat. It just makes no sense why somebody hasn't fucking killed her yet.
Yeah.
Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. But that's kind of my main 2 gripes with it, like the Cersei stuff and just, like, the Daenerys stuff, and, like, the lack of dragons in a book that is called A Dance of Dragons.
Yeah.
I mean, the next book, I was watching an interview with George Martin, and he said the next 2 books are going to be, like, 1,500 pages each. So the optimistic side of me is hoping that means we're finally gonna, like, because I think Winter's got a lot to live up to at this point. Because we're not actually in winter yet, are we? In the storyline,
Right at the end,
like,
when Varys kills Sir
yeah,
Kevin, it's like that's the whole thing. Is the White Raven comes and tells them
yeah,
it's winter. So
like, it's wind, like, yeah. So we're actually there. And I think, winter's been built up for like 5 books at this point. And,
yeah,
uh, it feels like there's a lot to kind of live up to in that book.
mm,
There's a lot of shit that,
yeah, stuff definitely needs to happen.
yeah. I mean, for lack of a better word, I mean it does. Like, and the Night's Watch stuff, like it's I don't know how he's gonna do that now. Because like, I mean, if Jon is dead, then by the way, one of my favorite bits I've got to say is when he fucking owns Slim when he's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna do what you say," and he's like, "Oh, right, okay, chop your fucking head off then." I thought that bit was fucking sick. I was like, "Yeah, I fucking hate that character," and it was just so. Or I didn't really see that coming, to be honest. I thought he was gonna like kind of at the end he was like, "Oh no, I'll do what you say, okay, fine," and because Jon is kind of not a pussy, but he doesn't really. That was a good change in his character. Like he finally kind of felt like he finally stepped up and was like, right,
Yeah.
Fuck this. Like if you don't do what I say, I'm gonna chop your fucking head off, and you're gonna like it. And I thought that was awesome. But I'm not sure. Like that's like the last kind of main viewpoint we had in that part of the world. Like if Jon is dead, we've got nobody to kind of, have like a perspective from the wall.
Yeah, unless they just, I don't know,
Unless they like,
Tormund or something, or
unless they change
Val.
the character.
I did like that. The stuff of the wall is, I don't know. I feel like Jon is probably like one of the most, I don't know, intelligent characters. And like him like sending all the dudes that you can trust away and keeping like Bowen Marsh, who I assume is obviously responsible for him getting stabbed and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like doing that just seems like seems out of character for me. Like, would it not make way more sense to send those dudes away to like some far off castle and have like, I don't know, Ed and whoever like as the dudes that he's...
I guess, yeah. I mean, the one thing in that book, and kind of, I didn't really think about it until like quite near the end of the book, to be honest. Jon seems to be the only one to like, because the like people make such a big deal about letting wildlings like south of the wall. It's like, oh, you can't do that. Like it's that's going to be the end of the world and shit. And Jon seems to be the only one that seems to get the fact that like if all those wildlings are still there when the others finally come that way, they're just gonna fucking kill them all, and then they'll all be part of their army. He seems to be the only one that gets that. Yeah. Everybody else just doesn't seem to understand that at all. And it's like, that's why he's done this. He's done this so that there's not fucking thousands and thousands of them. Like, no one seems to get that, and I think that's why like him, maybe getting killed just fucking hit me out of nowhere. It just seemed like the dumbest thing to do to kill him. Like, he's one of my favorite characters as well, so I was fucking bummed out. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he kicks off the Winds of Winter. So I'm trying to think of like wasn't a whole lot of development on the Stannis front either in this book, really.
No, they just sort of sat outside Winterfell and didn't really do anything.
Yeah. I think the Theon stuff was good in this book.
Yeah.
I like that you kind of find out what happened to him eventually. And I think it's interesting how they're like setting that up in season 3 of the show as well.
Yeah.
Because I think if they'd have gone like season 3 and 4 without showing him, people would have fucking forgot who he was.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing with Barristan, I guess, but he kind of shows up like fucking front and center in the 3rd season.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm at the point now where I'm way more bothered about the series than I am the books. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I think there's pros and cons for both.
Yeah,
I really do. I
it
think
just feels like, I don't know, like it feels like there's way too many characters. Like,
the books are hard to keep track of.
it's not even from a like it affects like the story, because it's like you've got to have everyone's viewpoint about like certain events. It's like, oh, just fucking have like one dude. Don't have like all these guys like looking at the same event. It's like, I don't know. Like, I also thought that like the Quentin Martell stuff is completely and utterly pointless. Like, I'm gonna go over here. You're gonna, have stuff from my perspective, and then I'm gonna get set on fire and die. It's like,
Yeah. Oh man, that was one bit that bugged me in the book. How did they think that was a fucking good plan?
yeah. You can just tell it's gonna go completely wrong. It's like,
I think the way he leaves Daenerys though, I really liked the way he left that. I thought was really fucking cool.
yeah, that was interesting, I guess. But, I think I've mentioned it in when I was talking about book 4. Is it's just like, I like book 3, the other books aren't like the most well written books in the world. It's sort of just like the world and the characters that are sort of interesting, I guess, and just seeing what happens in this crazy place. But like book 5, it just felt like had the exact same flaws as 4, where it like exposed all the bad things about the writing. And
I don't think it's as bad as book 4.
yeah, it's not as bad, because I don't know, some of the characters do.
At the end of the day, it is the better characters. It's the characters you care about. I quite like the Tyrion stuff in this book, to be honest. Though I think the way he's changing into just a complete fucker. Like before he was almost like the likable bad guy, because like he's not really good, is he? Really, he's just kind of the most likable of like the villain side of the story.
Yeah.
And in this book, he's kind of, he's going he's setting him up to just be kind of like full, cunt the whole way. It seems pretty obvious like what his intentions are, like going into the next book, and if they make it back to the Seven Kingdoms, like I think he pretty much says in this book in his own words, like he's pretty much like wants to kill his brother and sister now. It's like, right, fuck him,
Yeah.
I've had enough. So, but I'm just trying to think of the state of the other characters. Do you know if we missed anything? I don't think so. Like there's like no Starks left at this point.
Yeah.
Well,
no Starks that are in a position to do anything.
Yeah. The Hound and the Mountain could be dead. Although I don't think the Hound is dead. I know they kind of like he seems really kind of blatant about teasing you whether the Mountain's dead.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think the Mountain is dead. I think
when someone important appears to die off screen, I guess it's pretty obvious they're not, because he just doesn't do that. The thing that's starting, a couple of things that's starting to annoy me like even more. Every chapter ending in a cliffhanger, which has been a problem of mine with those books forever, I guess. But that it's starting to really grate on me. It's just like, oh, and something crazy happens, but then next chapter. It's like it's never like something crazy happens, then something else happens, and you get to see the consequences. It's always like, I'm going to leave this in a cliffhanger and return this character after describing 20 other characters, like things.
I guess that is a valid.
And then the other thing is, no one's plans ever come off like as planned. They always end horribly. Someone dies or something completely fucked up happens. Like it's just sort of ridiculous. It's like, yeah, eventually, like we've seen like a million little plots and plans and whatever. Eventually, one of these would come off well. It's like the only time I can think of a character actually pulling off their plan was Tyrion killing Tywin.
Yeah. Oh, that's one of my favorite bits of the whole story. I think that is really good. And like I think it's It's weird as well, like reading, because I'm still reading the first book at the moment. I'm probably about 3/4 the way through it.
Mm.
The first book doesn't have, I don't want to say problems, but you know, the pacing of it is a lot better.
Yeah.
Like I think the average chapter length, just off the top of my head, post book one has got to be probably maybe 20-25 pages per chapter. Just a random guess. It feels at least probably a little more than half that in the first book. Like just the story just moves in the first book. It just has a much faster pace. It's not, it doesn't feel like every single chapter, as you said, like ends in crazy shit.
Mm.
And when it does, it has more weight to it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that's, it's hard to end on crazy shit when, like, you're trying to, set up the world and stuff. It's like,
yeah.
Once you've got all the world set up, and you can just pretty much end every chapter on a cliffhanger by like, and then this happened, and then a dragon, and then
I feel like there's more question. I think, like, for me personally, definitely at the end of book 5, I probably have more questions about like the free cities more than ever now. Like the Seven Kingdoms stuff feels fairly fleshed out.
Mm.
The free cities, you get more time in them probably than any other book in book 5.
Yeah.
And you don't really find out a lot about them. It's
sort of, I don't know. I mean, the whole thing is about Westeros. Like, the free cities is just sort of it's a way of having people, like, characters exist but not be in the same place as each other, because otherwise they'd just get killed or something. Yeah. It's like a way of like not having conflict all the time. Is like have this massive expanse of sea that it's hard. It's not easy to cross. So you can have characters developing alongside each other and then eventually bring them together. I don't know. Like the free cities to me just seem like whatever. It's like, yeah, they've got these sort of like vague, interesting backstories, but you're not really supposed to care that much.
Yeah, to a point, I'd agree with that, but I think like I want to like you don't really get a sense of like kind of the state of where Daenerys has been. Like what's the state of those places? Like you do a couple of them, but that feels fairly left out at this point. And I don't know, like I feel this book left a lot of stuff unanswered, but I mean overall I really did enjoy it. I must say, like my favorite book is probably still the third one overall. Yeah. But I don't know, like I really am enjoying the first one, but I'd say book 5 is probably my second favorite overall. I think book 4 was just fucking shit. I really don't care what anybody says about that. That was hard work finishing that book.
Yeah.
It really was, and I probably would never have finished it if I didn't, get a job where I have like fucking 3 hours a day on a bus where I can, read. I can safely say I never would have finished that book otherwise. I probably would have like read a like plot summary of it and then went straight to the 5th book.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see what Brad says when he's finished. Maybe he's got maybe he thinks it's total garbage. Who knows?
So with that, I guess we're done for this week.
I think so, yeah.
Yes. So you can email us at the Mighty Electronic Box at gmail.com. We're on Twitter, TMEB Podcast, and of course, as we mentioned at the top of the show, we're now on YouTube.
Yeah, so you can just post a question there, or you can flame us, which people probably will.
Yay!
In a weird way, I'm kind of looking forward to like the stupid comments we get.
Yay! Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Stupid people, man. Stupid people make me laugh.
Yeah. So that you can do all those things. I think we just called them out electronic box on YouTube. Okay. Say bye, Joe. I guess.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.